Hello and welcome back to my couch for a story. Today I thought we would sing a song about spring. Here we go. If you look, you'll see spring all around. See the flowers coming up from underground. See the blossoms in the trees and the buzzing honeybees. If you look, you'll see spring all around. One more time, ready? If you look, you'll see spring all around. See the flowers coming up from underground. See the blossoms in the trees and the buzzing honeybees. If you look, you'll see spring all around. And if you look, I bet you'll see spring all around. Today's book I chose because of the weather. Yesterday it started off sunny and beautiful, and people were taking walks, riding their bikes, walking their dogs, and then a storm rolled in and started raining. And it's kind of been raining since then, and it's even raining now. So the story I chose is Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, written by Judi Barrett, so she's the author, and illustrated by Barrett. He's the person who drew the pictures. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. We were all sitting around the big kitchen table. It was Saturday morning, pancake morning. Mom was squeezing oranges for juice. Henry and I were betting on how many pancakes we each could eat, and Grandpa was doing the flipping. Seconds later, something flew through the air towards the kitchen ceiling and landed right on Henry. After we realized that the flying object was only a pancake, we all laughed, even Grandpa. Breakfast continued quite uneventfully. All the other pancakes landed in the pan, and all of them were eaten, even the one that landed on Henry. That night, touched off by the pancake incident at breakfast, Grandpa told us the best tall tale story he had ever told. Across an ocean, over lots of huge bumpy mountains, across 3 hot deserts and 1 small ocean, there lay the town of Chew and Swallow. In most ways, it was very much like other tiny towns. It had a main street lined with stores, houses with trees and gardens around them, a schoolhouse, about 300 people, and some assorted cats and dogs. But there were no food stores in the town of Chew and Swallow. They didn't need any. The sky supplied all the food they could possibly eat. The only thing that was really different about Chew and Swallow was the weather. It came 3 times a day, at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Everything that everyone ate came from the sky. Whatever the weather served, that was what they ate. But it never rained, it never snowed, and it never blew just wind. It rained things like soup and juice. It snowed mashed potatoes and green peas, and sometimes the wind blew in storms of hamburgers. The people could watch the weather report on television in the morning, and they would even hear a prediction for the next day's food. When the townspeople went outside, they carried their plates, cups, glasses, forks, spoons, knives, and napkins with them. That way they would always be prepared for any kind of weather. If there was leftovers, and there usually were, the people took them home and put them in the refrigerator in case they got hungry between meals. See? It's raining pancakes and juice and chicken legs and pie. The menu varied. By the time they woke up in the morning, breakfast was coming down. After a brief shower of orange juice, low clouds of sunny side-up eggs moved in, followed by pieces of toast. Butter and jelly sprinkled down for the toast, and most of the time it rained milk afterwards. For lunch one day, frankfurters already in their rolls blew in from the northwest at about 5 miles an hour. There were mustard clouds nearby. Then the wind shifted to the east and brought in baked beans. A drizzle of soda finished off the meal. one night consisted of lamb chops, becoming heavy at times with the occasional ketchup. Periods of peas and baked potatoes were followed by gradual clearing with wonderful jello setting in the west. The sanitation department of Chew and Swallow had a rather unusual job for a sanitation department. It had to remove the food that fell on the houses and sidewalks and lawns. The workers cleaned things up after every meal and fed all the dogs and cats. Then they emptied some of it into the surrounding oceans for the fish and turtles and whales to eat. The rest of the food was put back into the earth so that the soil would be richer for people's flower gardens. See these guys? They have to clean up all the leftover food that's fallen from the sky. So instead of puddles on the ground of water, there's food. Life for the townspeople was delicious until the weather took a turn for the worst. Spaghetti ties uptown. One day there was nothing but gorgonzola cheese all day long. The next day was only broccoli and overcooked. And the next day there were Brussels sprouts and peanut butter and mayonnaise. Another day there was pea soup fog. No one could see where they were going, and they could barely find the rest of the meal that was stuck in the fog. They're sticky pages. The food was getting larger and larger, and so were the portions. The people were getting frightened. Violent storms blew up frequently. Awful things were happening. On Tuesday, there was a hurricane of bread and rolls all day and into the night. There were soft rolls and hard rolls, some with seeds and some without. There was white bread and rye bread and whole wheat toast. Most of it was larger than they had ever seen bread and rolls be before. It was a terrible day. Everyone had to stay indoors. Roofs were damaged. The sanitation department was beside itself. The mess took the workers 4 days to clean up. The sea was full of floating rolls. To help out, the people piled up as much bread as they could in their backyards. The birds pecked at it for a bit, but it just stayed there and got staler and staler. There was a storm of pancakes one morning and a downpour of maple syrup that nearly flooded the town. A huge pancake covered the school. No one could get it off because of its weight, so they had to close the school. See the big pancake? It plopped right down on school. Like, what if it fell on our school? Lunch one day bought 15 drifts of cream cheese and jelly sandwiches. Everyone ate themselves sick, and the day ended with stomach aches. There was an awful salt and pepper wind accompanied by an even worse tomato tornado. People were sneezing themselves silly and running to avoid tomatoes. The town was a mess. There were seeds and pulp everywhere. Cream cheese is what we put on bagels. I'm not sure if cream cheese and jelly sandwiches would be good, but maybe I'll try it. The sanitation department gave up. The job was too big. Everyone feared for their lives. They couldn't go outside most of the time. Many houses had been damaged badly by giant meatballs. Stores were boarded up, and there was no more school for the children. So a decision was made to abandon the town of Chew and Swallow. It was a matter of survival. Look at all the giant food that fell from the sky. The people glued together... Alexa, stop. The people glued together the giant piece of stale bread sandwich style with peanut butter, took the absolute necessities with them, and set sail on their rafts for a new land. So they had to leave. Too much food fell from the sky, just like we get rain. And they couldn't keep up the cleaning. The food was rotting and getting nasty in the streets. After being afloat for a week, they finally reached a small coastal town which welcomed them. The bread had held up surprisingly well enough for them to build temporary houses for themselves out of it, bread houses. The children began school again, and the adults all tried to find places for themselves in the new land. The biggest change they had to make was to get used to buying food at the supermarket. They found it odd that the food was kept on shelves, packaged in boxes, cans, and bottles. Meat had to be cooked and was kept in the refrigerator. Nothing came down from the sky except rain and snow. The clouds above their heads were not made of fried eggs. No one ever got hit by a hamburger again, and nobody dared to go back to Chew and Swallow to find out what happened to it. They were too afraid. Henry and I were awake until the very end of Grandpa's story. I even remember his goodnight kiss. The next morning, we woke up to see snow falling outside the window. We ran downstairs for breakfast and ate it a little faster than usual so we could go sledding with Grandpa. It's funny, but even as we were sliding down the hill, we thought we saw a giant pat of butter at the top, and we almost smelled mashed potatoes. Do you think snow could look like mashed potatoes? And the sun setting like butter on top? The end. Rainy, cloudy, with a chance of meatballs. Could you imagine what it must have been like to live in that town when it wasn't raining, but instead food fell from the sky? And what if you didn't like something that fell from the sky that day? Would you not eat? Would you eat it anyway? I don't know. Only the people of that town know. Thanks for joining me for this story. I hope the weather clears up so we can play outside. I miss you and I hope to see you soon. I wish you well. I wish you well. All through the day today. I wish you well. Bye.